All right. It is the Weird, Fat, and Sober podcast. I have been gone for a while. If you were listening to this and then, didn't hear from me, didn't see any new episodes, sorry about you. It's been a long summer, I'll say that much. Not in a bad way. I mean, other than the crazy shit that's going on in the world. For me personally, was just super busy with work. Was working sometimes 60 hours a week. Also was renovating this house. If you can't tell, I'm in a new space. Moved into a new place with a back house that I've turned into my little studio. So that's been good. Just was super busy and didn't really have time to do this. And also I really, with everything that's been going on with COVID and the protests and the Black Lives Matter movement, I don't really think I had anything to say about it all until now, maybe. And or maybe I felt like it wasn't my place to say anything to, especially when it comes to the racial inequality stuff. As a straight white male, I think sometimes it's good to just shut up and stand in solidarity and just let people of color's voice be heard, I think, anytime there's a movement, some people join a movement for the wrong reasons, and not saying that, not to discredit the Black Lives Matter movement or any of the stuff that's going on or any of the protests or anything, but so yeah, let's track it back. I guess the last time I sat down and did this was March, really, and it was right when COVID started, right when the shutdowns had started. Texas Tech, of which I'm a student of, had went to all fully online. They basically, spring break, they just extended it for the rest of the semester, which as a non-traditional student who, I'm older, I'm 28. That was really fucking hard for me. Like, I haven't been in school for a long time, and I'm a junior this year. And so, like, it's really hard for me to learn over the computer. Like, online lectures, Zoom meetings and stuff. Like, it's just really difficult for me to focus. I find myself, like, sitting in a lecture on Zoom and I'm just on my phone scrolling Instagram. And it's a struggle. I've been really trying hard to sit down and focus and do all that, and I don't like it, and I worry about the kids. I'm dating a girl who has a 7-year-old daughter, and she's really struggling with the online thing. It's like really, I mean, any kid, you can't sit a 7-year-old down for hours and get them to focus. It's just not good, It's not good for kids in the developmental stages to not be with other kids, not get to have fun time with other kids and the social learning aspect of it. And it's not really anybody's fault per se. I mean, you could look at our leadership and say that it could have been handled better, but there's some positives coming out of all of this, I've been thinking about it a lot. And I think with everything going on right now, I think one thing that I can take from this and a lot of us can take from this is it can kind of show us what's important, Family is really important, finding your purpose in a, pandemic and calamity and chaos is really meaningful. And, a lot of people, are standing up for what they believe in right now, which I totally am for. I totally love to see it. Went to a couple protests. I believe in Black Lives Matter. I believe in racial equality. And, I think that this country hasn't really dealt with its history like it should have, But I also think that with all these things, with COVID, with riots, with protests, with any kind of movement, any kind of anything, that there's always going to be people who take advantage of the situation. Like you see in these protests when they turn into a riot, and then you see people looting. I seriously doubt that some of the people looting were even there for the right reasons, you know. And I mean, even if you get on a conspiracy level with it, you know, historically there's evidence that shows that movements have been subverted, you know, by, you know, intelligence agencies or whatever. COINTELPRO in the 60s, they, you know, and this is on record now. This isn't, I'm not just fucking, you know, throwing this out there. This is on record that the CIA and other intelligence agencies worked to discredit the, you know, peace and love movement because they were worried about communism. And that didn't only just happen with the peace and love movement, but that also happened with the Black Panthers movement all the way until the 70s. And I mean, there's a lot of evidence for that, you know. And there's even, like, if you look into MK Ultra and all this stuff where they, you know, drug people with LSD, and, you know, I'm not going to get super far into it, but what I'm saying is anytime there's any kind of a movement and any kind of anything, there's always going to be somebody, you know, who's going to take advantage of it. And I don't know, you know, it's a weird time right now. It's a super weird time right now, and I'm worried about what's going to happen in November, you know. Not a Trump supporter, but I don't think I can vote for Biden and Kamala. I mean, we're talking about Black Lives Matter, and we're talking about police reform, and we're going to elect the person who helped author the 94 crime bill. And then Kamala Harris has spent her time as a prosecutor, you know, throwing black men in jail, you know, at a way higher rate than white people. She has a bunch of wrongful convictions on her record too, and it's a mess, man. But I don't want to put this out there to divide people, because I think, you know, right now more than anything, we need to be unified, you know. And I think that when it comes to politics or race or social movements or anything, often, you know, we get super tribal with it. That's just like our nature is to be tribalistic. We just, you know, us versus them, you know, either you're on this side or you're wrong. And like, you know, I've been thinking about this. This sentence has been in my head for a few days, weeks now. What's more progressive than sitting down with somebody you disagree with and having a conversation about the things you do agree on? And why don't we do that anymore? It doesn't seem like we can do that. It seems like there's a lot of people screaming and fighting and shouting at each other that you're wrong. I literally saw a post the other day that was like, I fucking hate racists and I'll bash one or something like that. And I was like, dude, I mean, racism disgusts me, and it's evil, it's immoral, it's unethical. But I also know people who are racist, or have known people who were racist, that it was only because they just were uneducated and ignorant, and they didn't actually have somebody from that other side that they knew that was a good person. You know, they just believed what they've been told. They just believed a stereotype that they've heard, you know, and they never actually have branched out to try to learn about those people or the other things, you know. And I don't know. I think it's really dangerous, man. I think it's really dangerous when we say us versus them. And it's like, the more that you try to stomp out hate by violence, you're going to grow it, because you're going to prove the other side's point that, yeah, that side over there they're all horrible and they need to be stomped out. And it's like this. Okay. And, you know, whether you agree with this or not, it's just kind of a fact in my opinion. And I'm not trying to bash on, you know, military people or anything. I have a brother in the Marine Corps, but, you know, we've been in the Middle East for so long now, and we've been on these campaigns and stuff, and we bomb these places and firebomb these villages and drone strikes and all this stuff. And every time we do it, I'm sure, and I don't have the data on hand, but I've heard this before, and I know it's checks out in my mind. But every time we do that, we inspire somebody else to become a freedom fighter, terrorist, whatever you, Al Qaeda, whatever you, ISIS, whatever you want to call it. But it's kind of the same kind of deal, you know. Let's destroy this ideology. Let's destroy this or that, and then you inspire somebody else. You give them the motivation to take up arms against you. You know, I don't think that that's the way to do things. And I think that's the way humans have always done things, you know. I think that that's not progressive in my mind, you know, and I consider myself a pretty progressive person. I believe in trans rights. I believe in gay rights. I want everybody to be happy and to be able to do what they want with their personal property, their body, and their life, and love whoever they want, as long as it doesn't infringe on anybody else, as long as you're trying to molest children or destroy somebody's property or their ability to provide for themselves. You know, I'm progressive on everything like that. I want everyone to have what they need. You know, I think we need drug reform, police reform, economic reform. I think we need a lot of things, healthcare reform. You know, I do think that in a lot of ways, like America, the spirit of America is great. And it's not because of, you know, our forefathers, and the Constitution's great, and I think it's awesome. But I think what makes America great is the spirit of, you know, people who have fought to be here, to you know, who have walked 100 miles through the desert, who have came by boat with nothing in their pocket to come over here to build a life for themselves and their families and their generations after them. I think that is what the spirit of America really is. And you know, I wish the whole world was that way, but it's not. You know, in China we've got the Uyghurs, or however you say that. You know, the Muslims who are being rounded up, you know, and put into camps. I mean, it's literally the Holocaust over there again, and we're not really doing anything about it because China's so important to the world economy because of the way they, you know, take advantage of people who are, you know, poor and can't help it, can't do anything. You know, everything's made in China now. And that's another thing with COVID that kind of has showed us is scary, is like all our medicine, a lot of our goods come from there. You know, not to bash Chinese people, but the Chinese government is what scares me, you know. And I really didn't mean to get so political with this. The heart of this one I really wanted to just say was that I hope that with everything going on is we can just understand that, you know, regardless of another person's ideology or belief system or even some other actions, you know, we're all human. And even like, you know, as a person who, I've been sober almost 4 years in February, but the person who I was before I got sober was a piece of shit. You know, I wasn't violent. I didn't hurt anybody, but I mean, I took advantage of people when it came to selling drugs. I ripped people off. I stole from the person I loved the most, the person who I was supposed to, you know, she was supposed to trust me, and I was supposed to protect her, and I was supposed to help provide for her, and I just took advantage of her completely, and I ripped her off every second I could just so I could get high. You know, I was sick. I was physically and emotionally and mentally sick and addicted to drugs, and you know, I feel like I, even at my lowest point, didn't feel worth anything, and I really wanted to die. But I think that, you know, my life now shows that I was redeemable, you know, and I think almost everybody is redeemable, you know. And, you know, a lot of these people that are on both sides who hate the others, you know, whatever side you're on, and if you hate somebody for their beliefs, I don't think that's right. I think that's just as bad as Christians versus Muslims or any other thing you can look at in history that we, you know, like the Crusades, you know, like that's terrible what, you know, European Christian knights went over there and did. They just slaughtered Muslims, and they, you know, they said it was in the name of Christianity. And, you know, anytime you look, I mean, just look at World War II. I mean, they wanted to wipe out the Jews just because of just because their race, and to put that on another human is just as bad, you know, in my opinion. I mean, I think that's really, I'm not saying that I'm like not trying to virtue signal here and say that like my ideas are perfect and that but I just think that I think we're so far away from where we can be as a species, and I'm gonna go out and just kind of say something, but I really hope that if you've kept up with anything on my social media or just anything in general, like I'm a huge believer in like life elsewhere. I don't know as far as like if our government's been in contact or any of that, but my hope is that there is some form of intelligence in the universe who has figured all this shit out. They were tribalistic and they were, cavemen at one point in time. And as their technology grew and as their society grew, they came to understand that, not only are we similar in physical nature, we all are just these forms, but also our consciousness is just one thing, And I need to fact check this, but I think it was Einstein that said that the sum total of all conscious minds in the universe are one. And if you know me, you know that's something I believe in, and that's like my understanding of God or the universe is that it all is consciousness as a one entity perceiving itself infinitely divided, so we can understand it. And I think right now we're like, I feel like this is part of the process of evolving as we, I think we used to be, probably when we were cavemen, it was like, when we were, in slave days, it was white versus black, and now it's become more political and, left versus right. And then maybe as it goes on a little, even before that, it was, nation versus nation, or, maybe this is part of the evolving process as to where we just get like grouped further and further together, where it's one versus one until eventually we realize like, oh shit, we're all the same thing. We're all human. We're all consciousness. We're all just trying to, every person alive, at their essential base mind is really just, trying to pursue happiness and love and trying to provide for their family. And don't get me wrong, we are all capable of great evil and great good, and some people are pursuing power and money and wealth, and they're greedy and for sure that's detrimental to our society and to our world. But what I'm saying, I'm speaking in generalities here, is just saying that the person next to you, regardless of their political leanings, regardless of their race, regardless of what they are, what they believe, like, you can always be kinder to them. We could always do better. We can always learn from each other, and we're always a lot more similar than we are different. And I don't know, I think we forget that a lot of times. And I don't think screaming, I hate you, you need to change, I'm going to kill you if you don't. I don't think that's good. I don't think that's beneficial to us as a species, and I don't think that's actually how we get progress, And yeah, so I'm worried, I'm worried about what the world's going to look like for my kids, And, me and my bandmates, we practiced the other night, and we were sitting outside talking, and we were talking about geopolitics, basically, and about how, as a capitalist society, the only way capitalism works is to benefit from the labor of the extremely poor. I mean, we see that in the world, in the geopolitical landscape, as far as like one of the reasons the U.S. is so wealthy is because we have exported all of our manufacturing to China, and things like that. And what was, another example was like, I think it's Belize or some South American country where they grow chia seeds. And I may be wrong on this, but I think that's what it is. But it has become such a cash crop. The people that live in this country were able to grow and eat this. It's really good, full of protein, superfood, good for you, easy to grow, really quick and cheap. And but it's become so valuable that the people there aren't able to eat it anymore because it's worth way more for them to grow it and sell it instead of eating it. And they've been priced out of their own natural resource, and that's what happens all over the world. And I don't know, man. It's just like, and the fact that like we have it so good in this country, and people want to act like it's the worst place ever. Don't get me wrong. We have a lot of things we can change, and there's a lot of things we should change because of situations like that, because of what we do and the laws we put in place and the economic things that we do and what it does to the world. But that's not really what the conversation's about, really, ever. I mean, a little bit, especially when we're bombing countries, but I see people that are like, so on the left or so on the right, and it's like, dude, I mean, almost all of the presidents since JFK have, been guilty of some kind of war crime as far as bombing other countries. And I mean, you go back to Bush and Cheney and some of the stuff they did and how we went into Iraq, and, I don't know, it's crazy. But I mean, I think about this a lot, and I used to spend a lot of my time and a lot of my mental capacity thinking about this kind of stuff and feeling like, what the fuck can I do? What the fuck can one person do? And the answer is, and even if you get down to it and you believe in all the conspiracy theories, then then you probably believe or understand or believe that voting probably doesn't do anything because of the Electoral College, But it doesn't mean you shouldn't vote, and that doesn't mean you shouldn't participate. But the one thing that you can do, the one thing that's really, I think, important that we lose sight of is doing your part in your community around you. I may not be able to do anything right now that helps the child laborers in Africa who mine the cobalt for my iPhone, but I can do what I can in my community, But also, if we all keep, people around us accountable, the corporations that we buy from accountable, maybe we can make a difference. We vote with our dollars, But I don't know. The main thing I think is just you can always be kinder, I've seen friends that have, parted ways because of politics in the last few months, and that's really sad. And there's a lot of people I'm friends with that I don't agree with, and I don't agree with, some of the things they believe in or some of the things they say. But it doesn't mean I don't love them, because I try my best to love everybody. I don't really have any enemies. If I do, I'm not really aware of it, I'm sure I do. I'm sure there's people that hate me, but I just try to love everybody around me as best I can, and like, what's more Christian than that? Not saying I'm a Christian, but I'm just saying, like, even the Christians on the right, they are not great representatives of what Christ-like love is nowadays. Me and my girlfriend watched I think it's Immigration Nation or Immigrant Nation or something like that. And it's about ICE and all this stuff. And we had watched another thing called Stateless. And I looked at her and I said, if Jesus came back, he'd probably end up in an internment or an ICE camp, And he'd be a brown person or a black person. He wouldn't be white, And I'm not trying to bash on anybody. I think all religions have their faults and have their positive things they do. But I think really if you could talk to God, if God really existed, like some people think, that he would tell you to just love everybody. That's the biggest thing. The Bible says that, a lot of religions say that love is, the number one thing. And I feel like we just get so lost in our own needs and our own wants and our own beliefs. It feels good to belong, all those people at Trump rallies or all those people at other rallies, it feels good to belong where you're supposed to. People are like, hey man, we're glad you're here. Nothing feels better than that. Feeling like you're where you're supposed to be and people want you there, and that you're somewhere you're glad to be. And yeah, man. I mean, I feel like we just lose sight of what's important sometimes. especially with all this stuff going on. And I don't know. I worry where it's headed. You know, if technology is going to keep growing, you know. And I was listening to a dude on YouTube the other day, and he was talking about OnlyFans, and he was talking about how he said something that really stuck out to me. And he said every part of our society is becoming transactional. He said in Japan they have, you know, bars or places you can go, and you can pay somebody to cuddle with you, and that's crazy to me. I mean, that's, you know, I try to be sex positive everywhere I can. I think that, you know, whatever you want to do with your body, nobody should be able to tell you what you can and can't do, you know. But I also think it's strange how we're straying further and further away from physical, or not just physical, but physical and real, right here, human connection. And this virus has forced it on us in a lot of ways, you know. People who are single right now are having to do Zoom dates and stuff like that. And, you know, if you were to think about it in like a Christian philosophical point of view, right, or just any kind of religious perspective, like, and then even in my own perspective, like, you know, to be in harmony with God is to be in connection with him. And then like the devil, or whatever you want to call it, like negative energy or whatever, like wants to keep us isolated. And like the worst thing we can do for a consciousness, for a conscious human, is to put him in isolation, in prison, right? And it's crazy how all this shit in our society is forcing us further and further away and forcing us to be more isolated. The shirt I'm wearing right now is from a band called Crypto Deer, and it says "Hell awaits the isolated," and it's like they're like really philosophical lyrics, and they talk about a lot of stuff and talk about how I haven't really delved into the lyrics too much, but I just really like that. Hell awaits the isolated, you know. And I really think that it's scary for our society where we're headed, as far as like we're like, the value of human connection is being devalued, you know. And there's this movie that came out a long time ago called Gamer. I don't know if you've seen it, but in the movie, virtual reality is taken over, and I guess it doesn't really matter what movie it is, but just virtual reality is taken over. But like some people play a game where it's like a shooter, and then some, and like the way it works is it's virtual reality, but you can actually control another person in physical reality. And so there's one game where people can shoot each other and they're all prisoners, and there's another game where you can take over somebody's body and fuck and do whatever you want, you know, hedonistic type stuff. And so the two main characters, the wife is, you know, basically a prostitute who lets somebody take over her body, and has to fuck and do all these other things, you know. I don't really think it's going to be like that where it's a physical thing, but I think it'll be, I mean, we're already seeing a rise in sex robot type stuff. And, you know, like I said, the thing in Japan where you pay somebody to cuddle with you, professional cuddlers. And that happens here in the States too. I don't think there's any like facilities, but there are professional cuddlers. That's been around for a long time, you know. And I'm not saying that's wrong, or I'm not saying that like paying for sex is wrong, you know. But what I'm saying is what scares me about our society is when we devalue human interaction to where, you know, you don't have enough time in your day to spend with another person and have a real connection and a real intimacy and real relationship and being truly vulnerable with another person. Instead, you know, are productive 90% of your day, and then the other 10, you make enough money to go and, you know, buy somebody's affection or attention or intimacy or sex, you know. I'm not saying that's wrong, but what I'm saying is I don't think we're meant to be that way. The best part about life is loving somebody and being close to them and being intimate and being vulnerable, not just in a sexual or romantic way, but with your friends and your family and the people that you care about and the people you want to spend time with. And if we lose that, then I don't know. I mean, it scares me. I think that's just not what we're supposed to be doing, you know. And maybe fucking if the aliens come, they'll just you know, tell us that we're meant for more, you know. Consciousness needs to be with consciousness, and hell awaits the isolated, just like the Crypto Deer lyrics, you know. What else? I don't know. I mean, I feel somewhat guilty that I haven't been consistent with this, and I just kind of quit doing it, over the summer. I'm going to try to stick to it and, be consistent and putting these out. I think we left off last time with me, Marcus, and Russell talking about how those of us in recovery, we have a full toolkit when it comes to this kind of stuff, because not only do we spend time in isolation as addicts in our addiction, but we have a whole set of coping skills that we've learned in recovery from our trauma and all the stress of being addicted to drugs and living that life for however long, and I think maybe it's time. I think the first thing I thought when this started was we're going to see an uptick in people getting into treatment, people getting into recovery, which can be good, can be bad. I don't want to see more people suffering than they already are, for sure. But I also know that, like, my addiction, which led to my recovery, which has been the best thing that's ever happened to me, so that's one positive for sure. And maybe, I remember I saw a TikTok a while back, some guy jogging through his neighborhood. I don't know if it's TikTok or just on social media, but whatever. But some guy jogging through his neighborhood looking through the bins, and there's just like liquor and liquor and liquor in every bin, like empty liquor bottles in every bin. I'm sure a lot of people have been drinking and drugging like crazy right now, and just to cope, I feel like a lot of people don't have coping skills for something like this, I mean, none of us really do. I mean, this is the first time this has happened in our lives, and this is, first time this has happened like this, I think, since the 1918 Spanish flu or whatever, and yeah, it's rough, man. I worry about the kids that are going to grow up throughout this, and I miss normal life. I've gone to a couple shows here in Lubbock since this has happened, and I'm not crazy about it. I worry that I'm going to get it and give it to my dad or give it to somebody who maybe couldn't recover from it as easily. I don't want to do that. I've tried to be safe, as far as touching people, being close to people, wearing my mask and stuff, but at the same time, it's like, I mean, I don't blame anybody who just like I get being sick of being isolated and wanting to do something. And, a lot of people would say that's super irresponsible. Maybe it is, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I get it, and, a lot of us are just lonely already, especially a lot of dudes. There's a lot of lonely guys out there, in this society where, and I don't want to be, I try to be sex positive wherever I can, but, in this society where porn and stuff like that is so free and accessible, it leads to a lot of dudes who have fucking no clue how to, meet a woman, date a woman, be in a relationship, have a healthy sexual drive and sexual life, and there's a lot of lonely people too. And like I said, I try to be sex positive wherever and on all areas. I don't want to tell anybody that what they can and can't do with their own body or what they should or shouldn't do. But there is like, a weird thing that goes on where, and like fucking all for women's rights. I don't, pro-choice. I think women should be make as much as men. I think women should have the freedom to do just as much as men. They shouldn't have to worry about walking to their cars alone at night and fucking having to hold their keys in their fists. Like, that's fucked. Like, we should, as men, we need to step up and not, protect women and but I also wonder too, is if, and I'm making a connection here that isn't real, but I mean, I wonder if like the more of a sex positive society and the more freely accessible things like porn and OnlyFans and stuff like that, will it make fucking men worse? But Also, the argument could be made that if we legalized prostitution, made it accessible, and regulated it, like let people, be unions or whatever, and like insurance and health checks and STD checks for people who do that, would it like lessen maybe sex crimes and stuff like that, and maybe take away rape culture? But like I said before, is the transactional nature of that like bad for human consciousness? I don't know. But I don't remember where the fuck I was going with that. I've just been ranting, but I worry, I guess, about a lot of things. I guess really, I just wanted this to be like an introduction to the next, season going forward, as far as this podcast and as far as my life and stuff. I'm in long-term recovery now, and it feels a lot different. I've struggled with over the summer. I've struggled with a few things. I've struggled with my diet. I was like doing okay a few months ago, and then over the last couple months, I just didn't give a fuck. Fucking started drinking sodas again for the first time in years. I quit smoking a year ago, and then I bought a pack of cigarettes like 2 weeks ago and smoked it all in like 4 days. I quit again though. I've been like doing the tobacco-free nicotine pouches for I don't know, a month, and I'm not happy about it. I'm just being honest and vulnerable. I've struggled with porn at times. Not that I look at it a shitload, but I don't look at it and then I feel bad. I don't like the way I use stuff like that. I've done it with sex, food, anything. I'm an addict. Anything feels good, I'm gonna fucking tap into it. But I'm just being vulnerable. Moving forward, I just want to be honest with anybody that listens to this. And it's fucking weird for me to put myself out there like that on the internet for anybody to see or listen to. But I think that there is, power in like being vulnerable with people, especially in today's like social media world where we just put the best parts of ourselves out there, where we just like get the good angle and, just post pictures of the vacation and not post pictures of the 60-hour work week and you feel like shit, so you ate a cheeseburger. It's fake. A lot of the shit's fake, and I don't think that's good, man. And I just, I don't think that I'll change society by doing that or doing this or being vulnerable or being honest. But I think that if one person hears me as somebody who's been sober for 4 years, almost 4 years. I shouldn't say 4 because I haven't hit it yet. That's like, I don't know, lying, I guess. But 3.5 years, and who continues to be sober and choose that, and I'm happy with it and not miserable, and I can be honest about struggling with other things. I think it can help one other person, But even on the days that I fuck up and eat bad or look at porn or smoke a cigarette after quitting, it's still fucking better than being dope sick and being like a wild animal, fucking roaming the streets trying to score, And I'd choose that a million times over. I would choose, feeling bad about a meal or anything over fucking feeling like killing myself, And yeah, so other than that, I'm good. I'm really happy. I've started a second job working at a rehab at night. Still doing the landscaping thing. Moved into this house. My dad bought it, and he's kind of cut me in, and I just kind of manage the property, give him the rent from the renters. I get to live here for pretty low rent, and I get a space to do music and podcasting in. I work on the house when I can, and I'm super happy with it. I feel kind of spoiled, I have all my relationship with my dad has been strained at times, especially during my addiction. But my dad has never been the kind of person to just give me everything. I worked for him for a long time when I was a kid and a young adult, and but my dad's helped me out when he's always helped me out, but it's never just given me shit. He always gives me an opportunity to earn what he's trying to help me with, and I'm super grateful for that. Not everybody has that. A lot of people don't even fucking have a dad, you know. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm really happy right now as far as my relationship, my work, school. Band's still going strong. We lost a guitar player. We have a new guitar player. We're writing right now. I'm back on my grind of trying to diet and exercise, and I'm feeling good about myself physically lately, you know. And so, yeah, I just kind of wanted to do a solo one going forward, just to kind of address all the stuff that's been going on, you know. And if I misspeak and I say something that somebody takes offense to, I promise you I'm not trying to be that guy. I'm not trying to, you know, offend anyone or say anything. And honestly, I'm not married to anything that I believe. Like I think that's dangerous too. You know, I am always willing to look at somebody else's argument and change my mind. And I think a lot of people aren't, you know. Like I think for so long, like I lived in this space of like I'm an info junkie. Like I used to just be on the internet constantly looking up conspiracy theories and reading books and watching documentaries, and like people would, you know, try to talk about some political thing and I'd be like, well, actually, dude, let me tell you. And I would just go off forever about bullshit that probably isn't true and has no factual evidence to back it up, you know. And I don't want, I can't be that way anymore because it's so closely tied to my mental health that, you know, is related to my addiction, you know. And I have to be careful with conspiracy theories too, because like, I mean, I used to live in a space of like just despair because I thought the world was so shitty and that like there was no chance of me ever having a good life because of the, you know, Illuminati and politics and capitalism. And don't get me wrong, I think that there are things that go on in this country and in the world that we need to, as Americans, we need to look at, and we need to vote out people who do certain things, and we need to address certain issues, and we need to, you know, do our best to make the world around us a better place. But that space is super fucking dangerous, man, because like I said, I lived in despair. You know, I thought that, you know, there was no point in living. There was no point in trying to be successful or pay my bills. You know, I mean, I used to steal from Walmart, you know, and just because they were a corporation, which, don't get me wrong, Walmart's fucked up. They should pay their people more, and they should fucking, you know, give some benefits to those people. But I'm just saying, like, you know, it's not okay for your soul to steal, you know, regardless of if you get caught or not. Like, that shit, all that shit piles up and you feel like shit about yourself at the end of the day, you know. And like I wish, you know, like I'm going through this process now of where like a lot of times I do things like eat bad because it tastes good, you know what I mean? But like I want to get to, I'm trying to get, and I'm getting there, but I want to get to this place where I eat good because I know I'm going to feel good now and later, or I'm going to work out now because I'm going to feel good now afterwards and then later. You know, we like live in this society of instant gratification, you know. Fucking social media is like the fucking slot machines, you know, and it's, you know, not good. We're so used to like, swipe my card, give it to me, let's go. And like that's another thing I guess I really haven't hit on is like, I'm just being vulnerable here, but I have some financial stuff going on that it's just habits that I haven't dealt with, you know, and I'm really trying to button down and deal with it. I have some bad spending habits, and I, you know, don't do things financially like I should. and then I feel like shit about it and I have a meltdown about it, like, a few days later. But I'm getting better, and I hope that if you listen to this podcast, that me and all of you, whoever it is, all 27 of you, that we all can just get better together, And like I said, I think I don't want to put all this out there. I enjoy doing this. I like sitting down and just talking to people and interviewing people and just ranting like this. And it's entertaining for me as a person who likes to be creative and stuff. But I don't want to do any of this shit to just glorify myself. But like I really want it to be like a service thing where it's like if I help one or two or three people with just some of the stuff I'm saying, if I can inspire them with my story of being addicted to drugs, getting sober, trying to live a better life, and then all the things I have to do going forward to stay that way and to get better. I don't think it's a good example for me to get sober and then be fat and hate myself and fucking struggle to, be successful. That's not good either. And I'm just being honest, like with where I'm at with some stuff and, but, like I said, I mean, life's pretty fucking good for me right now. Like, I really don't have a whole lot to complain about. Like, I have 2 jobs. I'm going to school. I have a wonderful relationship with my girlfriend. I have, my band that I get to, like that, have a creative outlet with and get to create art and enjoy it and have a lot of fun. I'm working on some other music that I'm hoping to put out soon. Some lo-fi hip-hop type shit. And so I really don't have a lot to complain about right now except for what's in here, and that can always get better. That can always be better, And so I hope going forward that, we can all just get better together. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks.